Welcome to Emily U.S. English Podcast, where your English becomes alive, natural, effortless, and full of confidence. I'm Emily, your guide and your voice on this journey to fluency. Today, I want to help you break one of the biggest barriers every English learner faces: translating in your head. This single habit steals your speed, your confidence, and your ability to connect. In this episode, we'll change that forever. So find a quiet moment, take a deep breath, and let's train your mind to stop translating and start thinking directly in English. Imagine you're in a real conversation. Someone smiles and says, "Hey, what's up?" For a second, your mind freezes. You start searching. What's up? What does that mean again? You translate it. You think of your reply in your own language, then you translate it back into English. By the time you're ready to answer, the moment has already passed. You smile awkwardly. Too late. That tiny delay, that invisible translation loop, is what separates understanding from fluency. It's what makes you feel slow, even when you know the words. Because translation isn't communication, it's calculation. It's like trying to dance while reading the choreography line by line. You never move with the rhythm. The truth is, you don't need to translate. Your brain is far more powerful than you think. It can learn to connect English directly to meaning, to images, emotions, sensations, just like native speakers do. When a native speaker hears the word apple, they don't think of letters or spelling or the translation, guatao. They see color, taste sweetness, feel the crunch. Their mind reacts instantly because the language lives inside their experiences. You can train your brain to do exactly the same. The key is to break the habit of going through your first language every time you hear or speak English. Think about how you learned your mother tongue. You never memorized grammar rules first. You didn't translate from another language. You listened, repeated, noticed patterns, and slowly built connections between words and reality. You pointed at things, heard people respond, felt emotions, and your brain created meaning. That's how human language is designed to grow, naturally, directly, emotionally. Somewhere along the way, traditional English education made you forget that. It turned a living language into a math problem. But English is not a problem to solve. It's a rhythm to feel, a sound to live inside, a way to express your thoughts without fear. So from today, I want you to imagine a switch inside your head, a small button that says Direct English Mode. Every time you catch yourself translating, you simply turn that switch on. You say to yourself, "No translation, just picture it." When you hear "the sun is rising," don't say it in your language. See it. See the orange sky, the light touching your face, the new day starting. Let English become the image itself. At first, it will feel strange, maybe even uncomfortable, because your brain will resist. It loves the comfort of your native language. But keep going. Each time you resist the urge to translate, you build a new neural path. English straight to meaning. Step by step, that path becomes a highway. You might wonder, "But Emily, what if I don't understand everything?" That's fine. Understanding every single word isn't the goal. Communication is about catching the idea, the emotion, the message behind the words. Children understand meaning long before they know grammar. They use curiosity and imagination. You can too. When you listen to English, listen like a child again, not to analyze, but to absorb. Let tone, rhythm, and emotion carry the message. Even if you miss details, your subconscious is still learning patterns, sounds, and flow. That's how you build instinct. Let me tell you a story. A student named Anna once came to me. She had studied English for 10 years. She knew advanced vocabulary, could write essays, could even pass grammar tests. But when she spoke to a native speaker, she froze. She told me, "I translate everything and my brain feels heavy." I gave her a simple rule. For 1 week, no translation. If she didn't know a word, she had to describe it in English. If she didn't understand something, she had to guess from context. The first 2 days were hard. Her mind kept slipping back into her own language. But on day 3, something changed. She started thinking in small English sentences. She said she could feel the words instead of calculating them. After that week, her speed doubled and her confidence exploded. She wasn't perfect, but she was finally free. That's what happens when you stop translating. Freedom. You stop worrying about correctness and start communicating like a human being again. You don't chase perfection, you chase connection. Fluency is not about never making mistakes. It's about being able to think and react in real time, to flow with the conversation. When you speak, you'll notice that English sentences start to form themselves. You won't build them piece by piece, they'll simply appear. That's the point when you've crossed the bridge from student to speaker. Now, let's talk about what happens inside your brain when you translate versus when you think directly in English. Translation activates your prefrontal cortex, the logical, analytical part that handles decision-making. It's slow, heavy, and burns mental energy. Thinking directly in English uses your intuitive system, fast, automatic, effortless. That's why native speakers don't consciously think about grammar or structure when they talk. Their brain handles it subconsciously while they focus on meaning and emotion. The good news is, you can train your brain to do that too. It just needs repetition, exposure, and emotional engagement. Here's how you start. Step 1. Create an English environment around you. Change your phone language, your playlists, your YouTube recommendations. Fill your day with English voices, not to study, to live in them. Step 2. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you see, what you feel, what you plan. For example, when you're cooking, say in your mind, "I'm cutting the vegetables, the water is boiling, it smells delicious." This simple habit rewires your brain faster than you imagine. Step 3. Stop depending on subtitles all the time. Try watching short clips without them. Guess the meaning through body language, sound, and emotion. Step 4. When you read English, don't translate word by word. Focus on the scene, the emotion, the big idea. The goal is to experience English, not decode it. One of my favorite exercises is what I call the picture method. Whenever you learn a new word, don't write the translation, find or imagine an image that represents it. For example, the word freedom. Instead of writing its translation, close your eyes and imagine standing on a mountain with your arms open wide, feeling the wind. That image becomes your definition. The next time you hear freedom, your brain recalls that feeling instantly. This is how your vocabulary becomes alive. It's not a list, it's a set of living experiences. Another important mindset is patience. Thinking in English doesn't happen in a week. It's a gradual rewiring. Some days you'll feel progress, other days frustration. But remember, even when you feel stuck, your brain is still building connections silently. Every minute of listening, every sentence you whisper to yourself in English strengthens the new network. You just can't see it yet. One day, without noticing, you'll realize you're no longer translating. You'll be listening, understanding, responding naturally. That moment feels like flying. Let's talk about fear for a second. Many learners are afraid to stop translating because translation feels safe. It's control. When you translate, you feel certain of the meaning. But fluency lives outside that safety zone. To think in English, you have to let go a little, to trust that your brain can swim. Imagine learning to ride a bike. You can't balance perfectly while holding on to both feet. You must push off, risk falling, and trust your body. Same with English. Release control and your brain will find balance. It's designed to. I want you to notice something powerful. Every time you listen to this podcast, your mind is already practicing thinking in English. You're not translating every line, you're understanding ideas directly. You're imagining stories, faces, feelings. That's the process working in real time. And now that you've started feeling what it's like to think in English, let's go even deeper. I want you to imagine your brain as a living map, full of tiny pathways that connect sounds, words, emotions, and ideas. Every time you translate, you take a long, winding detour through your native language. But when you think directly in English, you're paving a brand new road, a faster, smoother shortcut straight to meaning. The more you travel that road, the stronger it becomes, until one day you realize you don't even remember the old path anymore. That's what real fluency feels like: effortless, automatic, free. But here's something few people talk about. Thinking in English isn't just about understanding words. It's about changing the way you perceive the world. Language shapes your reality. When you describe the same event in two different languages, it feels different, doesn't it? English has its rhythm, its melody, its way of expressing emotion. The more you think in English, the more you begin to feel life through English eyes. You start noticing things differently: how people greet each other, how they express humor, how they show care or frustration. You stop being an observer of English and become a participant in it. When I teach this to students, they often say, "Emily, it feels like I'm becoming a different version of myself when I think in English." And I tell them, exactly. You're not losing your identity, you're expanding it. You're becoming bilingual not just in language, but in mindset. You can switch between emotional worlds, between ways of expressing love, gratitude, curiosity. You start understanding cultures not as information, but as experiences. Now, to strengthen this new English brain, you need consistent training. Think of it like building muscle. You can't go to the gym once a month and expect transformation. Your brain works the same way. Every day, even for 15 minutes, you must activate that direct English pathway. Listen to a podcast, talk to yourself, describe your surroundings, sing along to English songs, or simply think in English as you walk. Don't worry about mistakes. The goal is consistency, not perfection. Here's something powerful you can start doing right now. Choose one part of your daily routine and live it entirely in English. For example, your morning coffee ritual. From the moment you wake up, think in English. I'm getting out of bed. I'm opening the curtains. The sun is bright today. I smell the coffee. Say it in your head. Let those English thoughts flow naturally, even if the sentences are simple. This daily micro-training rewires your brain faster than any grammar exercise ever could. You see, grammar and vocabulary are important, but they are tools, not the goal. The real goal is fluency, and fluency lives in your mind's automatic system. If you always think about grammar rules while speaking, it's like trying to play piano while reading the manual. You can't play music that way. You have to trust your fingers, your instinct, your feeling. Thinking in English is the same. You learn the rules, yes, but then you let go and flow. So, what stops people from doing this? Fear. The fear of sounding wrong, of being misunderstood, of not being good enough. But here's the truth. Every fluent English speaker you admire once felt the same way. Even native speakers make mistakes all the time. They just don't care as much. They keep talking. They keep expressing. That's what makes them fluent. You can't think in English if you're always afraid of mistakes, because fear brings translation back. It makes you pause, analyze, and overthink. When you're afraid, your brain switches from the creative system to the control system, the part that checks, doubts, corrects. To truly think in English, you need to trust your instinct, your intuition. You already know more than you think you do. Give yourself permission to speak imperfectly but freely. When you do that, you'll be amazed at how natural your English becomes. Let me share something I often tell my students. Perfection kills progress. Every time you wait to say something until you find the perfect word, you lose the moment. Communication isn't about perfect words. It's about connection. If you don't know the exact word for something, describe it, show it, use your hands or say, it's like. That's how real conversations happen. You don't need to translate. You need to express. Another beautiful part of thinking in English is emotional vocabulary, the ability to feel in English. When you start thinking in English, you stop translating emotions. You don't say, I feel born. You say, I feel sad. And sad carries its own weight, its own cultural emotion. The word sad feels softer, more inward than many other languages' equivalents. The same goes for excited, grateful, awkward, proud. Each carries unique shades of feeling. The more you think in English, the more you sense these differences, and your emotional intelligence in English deepens. One exercise I recommend is emotional journaling. Every evening, take 5 minutes to write a short note in English about your day. Not what you did, but what you felt. Write things like, today I felt proud because I helped someone, or I felt nervous before my presentation, but it went well. Don't translate, just express. This is how you teach your brain to process emotions in English. Over time, it becomes natural to think emotionally in English, and that's true fluency. Let's talk about listening for a moment. Listening is not just about hearing words. It's about understanding intention, tone, and context. When you listen to native speakers, don't try to catch every word. Listen for energy. Ask yourself, what is the emotion behind the sentence? What's the speaker's feeling? For example, when someone says, oh, really, they might mean surprise, doubt, interest, or sarcasm, depending on tone. You only catch that if you're listening with your English brain, not your translation brain. Try this. Pick a short English video, maybe a movie clip or a podcast. Listen once without subtitles. Don't panic. Just catch what you can. Then listen again, focusing on emotion and rhythm. Only after that, check the transcript if you want. This exercise forces your brain to connect directly with meaning through sound, not translation. It's challenging, but powerful. Something magical happens after a few weeks of this kind of practice. You start predicting meaning before hearing the full sentence. Your brain begins to anticipate, not translate. You'll find yourself finishing other people's sentences in your mind, understanding jokes faster, catching nuance. That's when you know you're truly thinking in English. And here's a secret. Thinking in English also improves your memory. When you connect words to images, sounds, and feelings, you activate multiple parts of your brain. It's like painting with colors instead of drawing in black and white. Every time you imagine, you anchor the word deeply. That's why visualizing English is so important. Don't just memorize. See it, feel it, live it. Now, I want to share a mental shift that changes everything. Stop calling yourself an English learner. You are an English user. Learners wait for perfection. Users live the language. When you start seeing yourself as a user, you stop hesitating. You stop asking, "Am I ready?" and start speaking, thinking, living in English now. The title you give yourself shapes your behavior. So from this moment, tell yourself, "I'm an English thinker. I use English to connect, to learn, to grow." Another key habit is speak your thoughts out loud. I know it might feel strange to talk to yourself in English, but trust me, it's one of the most effective ways to train your brain. Narrate your life in English. When you're walking to work, say to yourself, "I'm walking fast because I'm late," or "The weather feels nice today." When you're cooking, describe the process. The more you verbalize your thoughts, the faster your internal voice becomes fluent. Because the truth is, fluency begins inside your mind, not on your tongue. Now, let's talk about energy. Thinking in English requires mental energy, especially in the beginning. You might feel tired after a long English conversation. That's normal. It's like exercising new muscles. Don't worry about the fatigue. Celebrate it. It means your brain is building strength. Over time, you'll notice that English drains you less and energizes you more. That's the reward of persistence. Sometimes learners ask me, "Emily, what if I don't have anyone to talk to?" And I always say, you do. You have yourself, your podcasts, your books, your thoughts. You know what's truly magical? The moment when English stops feeling like a foreign language and starts feeling like a voice inside you. It's quiet, familiar, and always ready to speak. That voice may begin softly, maybe just a few words, a thought, a question, but with time, it grows stronger. You start hearing yourself in English before you even try. That's when you know your mind has crossed the bridge. Thinking in English isn't just a skill, it's a transformation. It changes your confidence, your personality, and even the way you see yourself. You no longer think, "I'm learning English." You think, "I am someone who speaks English." That simple shift changes everything. The way you listen, the way you respond, the way you exist in English. You begin to act like a native speaker, not because your grammar is perfect, but because your energy is. And that's the real secret. Fluency isn't just about words, it's about energy alignment. Every language has its emotional rhythm. English, especially American English, carries a rhythm of openness, curiosity, and flow. When you think in English, your emotions start syncing with that rhythm. You become more expressive, more confident, more free. That's why learning through translation feels heavy. It's like dancing while reading steps. But when you think in English, you start to feel the beat. Now let's go deeper into how you can train that English voice inside your mind. I call it mental shadowing. Here's how it works. Pick a short English clip, maybe a minute long. Listen carefully, and instead of repeating after the speaker, think along with them. Try to predict what they'll say next. Imagine you're the one speaking those lines. Feel their tone, their pauses, their expressions. You're not just copying sounds, you're syncing with thoughts. This technique helps your brain align emotionally and rhythmically with real English thinking. Let's try a quick mental exercise together right now. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine you're walking down a busy street in New York. You hear people chatting, car horns, footsteps. In your mind, describe what you see, but only in English. Say to yourself, "The air smells like coffee. I hear someone laughing. The city feels alive." Don't translate, just describe. Notice how natural it feels when you stop filtering through your first language. You're not just practicing vocabulary, you're creating an English experience. This is what I want you to understand. Fluency isn't built in classrooms. It's built in moments. It's built in small, repeated choices. Every time you decide to think in English, even for a minute, every thought, every sentence, every whisper to yourself, they all build your English brain. You don't need perfect grammar books. You need courage, curiosity, and daily contact with the language. And yes, I know, there will be days you feel tired or frustrated. You'll think, I've been learning for years. Why am I still not fluent? But remember, progress in language is invisible until one day it's suddenly visible. It's like growing hair. You don't see it daily, but it's happening. You must trust the process. Every minute you spend thinking in English counts. Let's talk about mindset for a moment. Most people study English from a place of fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. But fear blocks fluency. You can't think freely if you're afraid. So instead of fear, approach English with curiosity. Be curious about how people express things. Be curious about accents, slang, and idioms. Curiosity opens the brain. Fear closes it. When you're curious, your mind becomes like a sponge. You absorb naturally, joyfully, without pressure. When I first started teaching English, I noticed something fascinating. Two students could study the same amount of time, use the same materials, but one improved much faster. Why? It wasn't intelligence, it was attitude. The faster learner treated mistakes like experiments, not failures. They laughed at their errors and kept speaking. The slower one was afraid of every slip. Their mind was trapped in translation and self-doubt. You see, fluency belongs to the brave, not the perfect. Another secret to thinking in English is emotional repetition. This means you repeat ideas, not words. For example, if you learn the phrase, I can't wait, don't just memorize it. Use it emotionally. Say, I can't wait for the weekend. I can't wait to see my friend. I can't wait to start. Feel the excitement. Your brain remembers emotions much faster than vocabulary lists. Emotion is memory glue. Let's talk about silence too. Silence is part of fluency. Native speakers pause. They don't rush every sentence. When you think in English, allow silence to exist. It gives your mind space to process meaning directly. It's okay to take a breath, to think for a second. That's not hesitation. It's natural rhythm. Silence is your thinking space, and in that space, your English brain grows. You might be wondering, Emily, how do I stop translating completely? The truth is, you don't stop it by fighting it. You stop it by replacing it. You can't tell your brain, don't translate, but you can feed it so much English input that translation becomes unnecessary. Your brain always takes the easiest path. If you give it enough direct experience in English, the easier path becomes English itself. So immerse yourself. Surround yourself with English sounds, words, ideas. Read out loud. Listen to audiobooks. Watch interviews. Follow podcasts like this one. Even when you don't understand everything, your brain is learning patterns. Every exposure counts. You're training your subconscious mind, and that's where real fluency lives. There's another powerful tool I want you to use: identity statements. These are short sentences that reprogram how you see yourself in English. Say things like, I think in English every day. I understand English easily. I feel confident when I speak English. Repeat these not as wishes, but as truths. The brain believes what it hears often enough. If you keep saying you're shy or not good at English, your brain accepts it. But if you feed it empowering beliefs, it changes your behavior. You start acting like a fluent speaker, and that action reinforces the belief. Now, let's explore one more deep layer: intuition. Thinking in English isn't just mental, it's intuitive. It's when you hear something and instantly know what it means, not because you translated, but because it feels right. You can train this intuition by exposing yourself to natural English conversations daily. Don't analyze them, absorb them. Listen for flow, tone, and context. Over time, your intuition will start whispering, "That sounds right," or "That sounds strange." That's your inner English compass. Trust it. I want you to imagine your journey like climbing a mountain. At first, the climb is steep. You question if it's worth it, but the higher you go, the clearer the view becomes. Then one day you reach a point where you look down and realize you can't even see the bottom anymore. You've come so far that your old way of thinking feels distant. That's where you're heading. Step by step, thought by thought, you're rising. Sometimes the hardest part isn't learning English, it's believing that you can think in English. But you can. You already have everything you need: a mind capable of change, a voice ready to speak, and a purpose strong enough to keep going. You're not learning to think in English. You're remembering that your brain was built to adapt, to grow, to learn any language in the world. So as you keep listening to this podcast, keep practicing, keep thinking, remember, English is not outside of you, it's inside you, waiting to come alive. Every thought in English, every whisper of confidence, every moment of courage brings it closer to the surface. You're not just learning a language, you're unlocking a new version of yourself. And this journey of transformation continues as we move deeper into mastering how to build your emotional connection to English, how to feel it, live it, and truly become the language you speak.
As your English mind begins to grow stronger, something incredible starts to happen. You begin to notice details you never paid attention to before. The sound of words, the rhythm of sentences, the feeling of expressions. You start hearing how native speakers stretch certain vowels, how their voices rise and fall with emotion. These patterns are not random, they are music. English has a melody, and when you think in English, you begin to feel its rhythm deep inside you. Language is sound before its meaning. That's why children learn by listening first. They don't memorize rules, they absorb patterns. And that's exactly how you should train your brain too. Listen not just with your ears, but with your body. Feel how English moves in your breath, your tone, your posture. When you say, "What's up?" your body naturally relaxes. When you say, "I can do it," your chest opens, your voice grows stronger. English is not just something you speak, it's something you embody. Now, I want you to reflect on something. Every language carries its own energy. Some languages sound sharp and direct, others smooth and melodic. English, especially American English, is rhythmic, forward-moving, and emotion-driven. That means when you think in English, you must let your thoughts flow forward. Don't hold back. Don't analyze. Just move with the rhythm of meaning. Thinking in English is not about control. It's about momentum. Let's do a quick experiment together. Imagine you're talking to a friend in English about your weekend. Don't plan what to say. Just let the words appear in your mind naturally. Maybe it goes like this. "I went to the beach. The weather was perfect. We laughed a lot. I felt free." You see, it's simple, but it's real. You're not translating, you're remembering feelings and expressing them in English. That's how natural communication works. One of the biggest myths in language learning is that you need to think hard to become fluent. But actually, fluency happens when you stop thinking too much. You must trust your subconscious. It already knows what to do if you give it enough input. That's why listening is the foundation of thinking in English. The more you listen, the more your brain builds a map of sounds and meanings. Then, when you want to speak, your mind pulls from that map automatically. Imagine your brain like a river. The more English flows through it, the smoother the current becomes. But if you keep stopping to translate, you're building small dams that block the flow. Each time you let go of translation, you're removing one of those dams. eventually your river becomes wide, deep, and unstoppable. That's what true fluency feels like, effortless flow. And here's the thing, that flow doesn't only help your English, it transforms your confidence. When you stop translating, you stop doubting yourself. You stop second-guessing every sentence. You start speaking with rhythm, with life, with you. English becomes your voice, not your test. You might be wondering, Emily, how can I make that shift permanent? The answer is daily micro immersion. You don't need hours, you need moments. Use English for your thoughts, your music, your entertainment, your emotions. Think of your phone as your mini immersion center. Change its language to English. Read English comments. Watch English clips. Write English reminders. Make English not a subject, but your environment. Let's talk about another powerful practice, emotional repetition through speaking. Every day, pick one phrase or idea and speak it with emotion, not like reading, but like living it. For example, say, I'm improving every day, or I understand English naturally. Repeat it until you believe it. Say it with pride, with energy, with conviction. When your voice vibrates with belief, your brain listens. You reprogram your mindset through sound. Now, let's talk about mistakes, because this is where most learners block their progress. You see, mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs of growth. Every mistake is proof that you are trying, that you're alive in the language. Native speakers make mistakes too, constantly. The difference is they don't stop speaking when they do. They correct, they laugh, and they keep going. So should you. Thinking in English means allowing imperfection to exist while communication continues. Here's something you can try. Record yourself speaking English every day for 1 minute. Don't plan, just speak. Talk about your day, your dreams, your thoughts. Then listen. You'll hear progress over time. Maybe your pronunciation, your confidence, your rhythm. Don't focus on mistakes. Focus on growth. That small daily habit will train your brain to think in English faster than you imagine. And yes, there will be days when you feel like giving up. You'll wonder if you're really improving. But trust me, the progress you can't see is often the most important kind. Your brain is rewiring itself, forming new neural pathways. It's silent work, invisible but powerful. You just have to keep showing up. Fluency is not a destination, it's a lifestyle. Let's talk about the emotional side of this journey, the part few people discuss. Learning to think in English can sometimes feel lonely. You might be surrounded by people who don't understand why you're so passionate about it. You might struggle to find someone to practice with. But here's the truth, you're never alone. Every time you listen to this podcast, every time you think in English, every time you whisper a new word, you're connecting with millions of people around the world doing the same. You're part of a global movement, a community of dreamers turning effort into fluency. I want you to start visualizing yourself as someone who already thinks in English. Picture it clearly, you sitting in a cafe, talking naturally, laughing without translating, understanding every word around you. Feel the ease, the flow, the confidence. This mental image is powerful. Your brain doesn't know the difference between visualization and real experience. The more you imagine it, the faster it becomes real. Another secret is to fall in love with the sound of English. Let it move you. Listen to songs not for vocabulary, but for feeling. Repeat lines that touch you. Enjoy how the words dance together. When you fall in love with the sound, your learning becomes joy, not work. You see, fluency isn't about forcing your mind, it's about freeing it. Stop chasing perfection, start chasing connection. The moment you stop asking, is this correct? And start asking, does this connect? That's when you become fluent. And remember, the goal isn't to sound like a native speaker, it's to feel like yourself in English. Your accent is not a problem. It's your story. It's the sound of courage, of effort, of identity. Keep it with pride. Every accent tells the world that you were brave enough to learn another language. Let's return to one powerful truth. You learn English fastest when it becomes emotional. Facts fade, but feelings stay. So whenever you listen, speak, or think in English, attach emotion to it. Laugh, wonder, feel inspired. That emotion locks the language into your memory forever. Think about the first time you learned the word love or hope. You didn't just memorize them, you felt them. That's the secret to true fluency. Feeling before understanding. When English becomes emotional, it becomes yours. Now, here's something I want you to remember forever. You don't think in English by trying to think in English. You think in English by living in English. It's not a mental trick, it's a lifestyle choice. Replace your inner voice, little by little. Every English thought is a brick in the house of fluency. Build it with patience, and soon it becomes your home. So tonight, when you go to bed, I want you to do one small thing. Replay your day in English. In your mind, review what you did, but don't translate. Just let the images flow with English words. I woke up. I made coffee. I smiled. I felt good. It doesn't matter if it's simple. What matters is consistency. This nightly ritual strengthens your English brain every single day. You're not just learning a language, you're training your mind to see the world differently. And that transformation is deeper than vocabulary. It's about courage, identity, and growth. You're becoming someone who no longer fears communication, someone who embraces it. So keep going, keep listening, keep thinking, keep believing. The version of you who thinks fluently in English is not far away. It's already being built inside your mind right now, thought by thought, word by word, heartbeat by heartbeat. And in our next part, we'll go even deeper, exploring how to feel English through stories, rhythm, and imagination, and how to let the language not just become a tool for expression, but a part of who you are. When you finally stop translating in your head, something magical happens. Your brain begins to feel lighter, faster, freer. You no longer feel trapped between two languages. You start to think, react, and express yourself directly in English. But getting to that stage isn't easy, right? It's like training a muscle that has never been used properly before. You need consistency, awareness, and courage. The courage to sound strange, to make mistakes, and to keep going anyway. Every learner hits this stage where they think, I understand everything when I read or listen slowly, but when I have to speak, my mind goes blank. That's your brain trying to switch from translation mode to real thinking mode. So, what can you do to speed up that process? You must feed your brain English, not as a school subject, but as a living experience. From the moment you wake up, fill your environment with English. Change your phone settings, your playlists, your YouTube feed. Let English become the background sound of your life. And don't just listen, notice. Listen like a detective. Pay attention to rhythm, tone, emotion. When someone says, you know what I mean? They're not just sharing words, they're sharing feeling. That's the real English you want to absorb. Thinking in English doesn't mean you suddenly erase your native language. It means your brain starts creating shortcuts. Instead of hearing a word and translating it, you associate it directly with meaning. For example, when you hear rain, you don't think "muh," you just see rain in your mind. That's thinking in English. And the way to build that reflex is exposure and repetition with awareness. Repetition without awareness becomes noise.
but repetition with attention becomes transformation. Every time you hear a phrase like, "What's up?" pause and reflect. When do people use it? What tone do they use? What does it really mean beyond words? That's how you start building intuition in English. And intuition is the soul of fluency. Grammar gives structure, vocabulary gives tools, but intuition gives flow. When you think in English, you start predicting language. You don't need to translate anymore because your mind starts completing patterns naturally. Like when you hear, "I'm looking forward," your brain automatically knows to it. That's fluency at work. And to reach that, you must spend time with English, not just on English. Don't study English, live it. Use it when you're tired, when you're happy, when you're sad. Talk to yourself, talk to your thoughts. Imagine conversations. The more emotions you attach to the language, the deeper it sinks into your mind. That's how children learn, through emotion, not explanation. You can do the same as an adult. You just need to stop judging yourself. Stop waiting for perfect grammar. English is not an exam. It's a living conversation with the world. Every time you hesitate because you're scared to sound wrong, you lose a chance to connect. But every time you speak anyway, even imperfectly, you grow. You move one step closer to fluency. And the truth is, every fluent English speaker you admire was once afraid too. The only difference is they didn't stop. They practiced daily. They immersed themselves. They surrounded their mind with English until it became natural. You can do that too. You can train your brain to think directly in English by making small but powerful habits. Talk to yourself in English when you cook, when you shower, when you walk. Describe what you see. Narrate your thoughts. It might feel silly at first, but this is how your brain switches mode. You stop needing to translate. English becomes part of you. And one day, without realizing, you'll be thinking, dreaming, and even feeling in English. That's when you'll know you've crossed the bridge from learning English to living English. And that's where true fluency begins.
You see, the real transformation begins when English is no longer just something you study, but something you feel. It's not just words and grammar anymore. It's rhythm, tone, energy. When you start to feel English in your body, not just understand it in your mind, your fluency accelerates like never before. Think about music. When you listen to your favorite song, you don't translate the lyrics word for word, right? You feel the beat, the mood, the emotion. That's exactly how English fluency works. You don't need to think about every rule, you just flow with the meaning. That flow comes from exposure and emotional connection. So the next time you listen to English, don't listen like a student. Listen like a friend, like someone who belongs to that world. Let your imagination put you inside the scene. If you're hearing a conversation between two people in a cafe, imagine yourself sitting there, hearing the sounds, smelling the coffee, watching their expressions. Make English come alive. That's how your brain starts linking language with experience. And that's the foundation of thinking in English. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools, inner dialogue. The conversation you have inside your head is where real fluency is built. When you wake up in the morning, don't just think, "I need to brush my teeth." Think it in English. "I should brush my teeth now." When you're walking, describe what you see. "The sky looks beautiful today." "That man looks tired." It's simple, but it rewires your brain. The more you do it, the more automatic it becomes.
This is not theory, it's neuroscience. Your brain creates new neural pathways through repetition and emotional relevance. Every time you think in English, even just a little, you are literally reshaping your brain to make English natural. And you can do this anywhere. No classroom, no teacher needed. Just you, your thoughts, and a little consistency. Another key step is shadowing. It means listening to a native speaker and repeating exactly what they say as they say it. Not only the words, but also the emotion, the speed, the melody. At first, it feels hard, maybe even impossible, but don't give up. It's one of the fastest ways to train your brain to think and speak in real time. Shadowing trains your mouth, your ears, and your mind to work together. Over time, you'll notice that when you listen, you automatically start predicting what's coming next. That's not magic, that's fluency. It means your brain has internalized the rhythm of English. And here's another truth. Translation is a comfort zone. It feels safe because it's what you've always done. But real growth only happens when you step out of that comfort. You can't think in English if you keep holding on to your native language as a crutch. You have to let go, at least a little, and trust yourself. The first few times, your mind will resist. It'll try to switch back, to translate, to double check. That's normal. That's the old habit fighting to survive. But the more you resist translating, the weaker that habit becomes. You start to depend less on memory and more on instinct. And instinct, that's where fluency lives. So if you truly want to stop translating, here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, speak, think, and even dream in English as much as possible. Don't allow your brain to translate. If you don't know a word, describe it. Use your creativity. For example, if you forget the word umbrella, say, the thing that keeps me dry in the rain. It's okay. This way, you're forcing your brain to stay inside the English zone. The moment you start describing things in English instead of translating, you're becoming fluent. And trust me, it feels incredible. You begin to notice new words, new sounds, new emotions. English stops being a wall you must climb and becomes a window you look through. And yes, there will be days you feel tired, frustrated, or stuck. But remember, even on those days, your brain is learning quietly. Every time you expose yourself to English, even passively, your mind records it. So be patient with yourself. The most fluent people aren't the smartest. They're the most consistent. They keep going when others stop. They don't let mistakes define them. They let mistakes teach them. Thinking in English is not perfection. It's connection. It's freedom. It's being able to understand, feel, and express yourself without the barrier of translation. Once you reach that point, you'll never want to go back. You'll feel like you've stepped into a new version of yourself, one that can connect with the world on a deeper level. That's the real reward. And this journey you're on right now, it's not just about learning a language. It's about unlocking a new way of thinking, a new way of living. So don't stop here. Keep listening, keep speaking, keep feeling English. Because the more you do, the closer you get to the moment when English is no longer something outside of you, it's something inside of you. You won't notice the exact moment it happens. One day, you'll just realize you've stopped translating. You'll catch yourself thinking in English, and you'll smile. Because that's when you'll know you did it.
And when that realization hits you, when you notice that you're finally thinking in English, it changes everything. You begin to understand movies without subtitles. You start catching jokes, idioms, and emotions you never noticed before. You begin to feel English as if it's a part of your identity, not something you're borrowing. And that's the magic moment every learner dreams of. But here's something even more beautiful. Once you get there, you realize fluency was never just about language. It was about confidence, curiosity, and courage. It's about learning to trust your thoughts in a new form, a new sound. Every word you say in English carries not only meaning, but courage. Courage to be misunderstood. Courage to express yourself. Courage to connect. And that courage builds character. It's the same courage that will help you in your job, your travels, your relationships, even your dreams. Because learning English is not just about communication, it's about transformation. Think about it. Every time you learn a new word, you gain a new way to see the world. Serendipity, wanderlust, mindful, resilient. These are not just words, they're windows into new emotions. They expand who you are. The more English you learn, the more perspectives you gain. You start to think differently, see differently, and even feel differently. You become more open, more understanding, more alive. And that's why I always tell my students, English is not something you add to your life, it's something that changes your life. But don't expect it to be easy every day. There will be days when your tongue feels heavy, when your brain feels slow, when you can't find the right words. That's not failure, that's growth. Muscles shake when they get stronger. The same happens to your brain. Every struggle, every pause, is your brain rewiring itself. So don't be afraid of the silence between your words. That silence is where your fluency is being born. When you feel tired, remember your why. Why did you start learning English? Maybe it's for your career, maybe for travel, maybe to understand songs or movies, or maybe because you just love the language. Whatever your reason, hold on to it. It's your fuel. It will carry you through every difficult moment. And remember, fluency doesn't come from studying more, it comes from staying longer, staying with the language, staying consistent, staying curious. If you're listening to this right now, I want you to smile because you are already doing it. You are training your brain to think in English at this very moment. You are listening, imagining, understanding without translating. This is fluency in progress. You don't need a certificate to prove it. You just need to keep going. Keep showing up for yourself. Let me share a secret with you. I've met hundreds of students who spoke almost no English at first, shy, nervous, translating every word. But the ones who became truly fluent weren't the ones who memorized the most grammar or words. They were the ones who made English part of their life. They listened every day, even when they didn't understand everything. They spoke, even when it felt awkward. They made mistakes, laughed about them, and tried again. That's the mindset that wins. So here's what I want you to do. Find moments in your day to live in English. Not just study it, live it. When you cook, listen to an English recipe. When you walk, listen to an English podcast. When you rest, think about your day in English. Even 5 minutes here and there make a difference. Every small exposure builds a layer of understanding, and over time, those layers form fluency. Another powerful habit is to personalize your English. Don't just repeat random sentences, connect them to your life. If you learn the phrase, I'm excited about something, don't stop there. Use it. I'm excited about my trip. I'm excited about learning something new. Your brain learns faster when it feels emotion. That's how memory works. It remembers what matters. And don't forget to celebrate small victories. Maybe today you understood a joke in a movie. Maybe you talked with someone in English without freezing. Maybe you just felt confident reading an article without translation. That's progress, real progress. It's not about perfection, it's about movement. Every step counts, even the smallest ones. Fluency isn't a finish line, it's a lifestyle. It's the way you grow, express, and connect. Once you see it that way, you'll stop chasing English and start living it. You'll stop worrying about mistakes because you'll realize that mistakes are just signs of effort. You'll stop feeling behind because you'll understand that learning a language is not a race, it's a journey of transformation. And maybe one day you'll look back and realize that the moment you stopped translating wasn't just when you learned English, it was when you started becoming the best version of yourself.
And maybe, at some point, you'll look around and realize that English isn't foreign anymore. It's not that mysterious, complicated system of grammar rules and vocabulary lists. It's simply a part of your world now. You listen, you speak, you think, and it all flows. That's when you'll notice how far you've come. You'll remember the days when you used to pause after every sentence, trying to find the right translation, and you'll smile because that version of you was brave enough to start. That version of you refused to give up, and that's why you're here today, thinking, feeling, and living in English. You see, language is not just a tool for communication, it's a mirror of who we are becoming. When you start thinking in English, you also start expanding your mind. You become more patient, more curious, more empathetic. You begin to understand not only words but perspectives. You see how people from different cultures express love, pain, humor, and hope. You realize that even though we speak different languages, our hearts beat with the same rhythm. That's the beauty of English. It connects you to the world. And the more you connect, the more confident you become. Confidence doesn't come from knowing every word. It comes from daring to speak with the words you already know. So don't wait to be perfect. Start communicating now. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. The more you listen, the more your brain adapts. It's like water. It flows wherever you direct it. Let your English flow freely. Don't try to control every word. Just let it move through you. Because English isn't something you own. It's something you experience. Imagine this. One day, you're sitting in a cafe in another country. You order coffee in English without thinking. The waiter smiles, you smile back. The conversation flows easily. You're not thinking about grammar or translation. You're just being yourself in English. That's the freedom you've been working toward. That's what all those hours of practice were for. Not perfection, but connection. And this is the secret nobody tells you. Once you stop translating, English stops being difficult. The real struggle was never with the language. It was with the habit of thinking too much. You were always capable. You just needed to trust yourself. You needed to stop asking, "Is this right?" and start saying, "This is me." Because communication isn't about right or wrong. It's about expressing who you are. So today, as you listen to this podcast, I want you to make a decision. A quiet, powerful decision inside your heart. From this moment on, you will stop translating. You will allow yourself to think in English, even if it feels strange. You will practice daily, not because you have to, but because you want to. Because this is your time to grow, to connect, to transform. Every word you hear from now on will shape the way you think. Every phrase you repeat will make English more natural. Every time you use English in your real life, even just talking to yourself, you're building the bridge between learning and living. Keep crossing that bridge. Don't turn back. Every step counts. And as you move forward, remember, you're not alone. Thousands of learners around the world are on this same journey, listening to the same words, feeling the same dreams. We're all walking this path together. And one day you'll meet people you've never known before, from places you've never been, and you'll talk with them fluently, freely, confidently in English. And in that moment, you'll realize that what started as learning a language became something so much bigger. It became becoming yourself in a new way. So keep going, keep listening, keep believing. Your English is growing every single day, even when you can't see it. Trust the process. Trust your progress. Trust yourself. This is Emily from Emily US English Podcast, reminding you that every great speaker once struggled to speak, but they didn't stop, and neither should you. Because the day you stop translating is the day you start living in English.